How's it going, guys? I know typically when you see my face, you probably think about plus EV betting, how to become a profitable sports bettor, and I teach you guys how to use daily grind fantasy, but with more general rule of thumbs than actually deep diving and showing you guys my exact process, how I play things, why I would play something, why I would not play something, and kind of the more ins and outs of the optimizers and plus EV betting. So in today's video, we're going to do just that. I am going to live bet throughout this video and show you guys my thought process on all of these bets I'm placing today. Remember, we're plus EV betting. We are trying to find where one sportsbook is so far off the market on their projection or odds that we are getting a long-term profitable bet, a bet with an edge against that sportsbook. And as always, we'll be using Daily Grind Fantasy to compare sportsbooks lines and odds directly back to apps like PrizePicks, Fliff, Underdog, Parlay Play, ProfitX, Novig, basically any DFS app or social sportsbook that you can think of is on Daily Grind Fantasy, and we're able to find an edge by comparing that market back to these different apps and get long-term value, which is going to make us profitable in the long term. And remember, if you find yourself wanting access to Daily Grind Fantasy, I will leave a link down in the description, but if you use code DustinDGF18, you will get 25% off your very first month. And we'll start right here on Fliff Social Sportsbook, which actually works like a regular sportsbook, but is legal almost everywhere in the United States. We'll talk through a couple of these plus EV plays, why I would play it, why I might not play it, based off of the odds, the data points, etc. At the very top here, we have Mitchell Evans at minus 115 on Fliff to go over 3.5 receptions, and that's what's being recommended as plus EV off the Daily Grind Fantasy Fliff Optimizer, because if we look over across at the market, we see FanDuel has a line for this at minus 144, so they are pretty heavily favoring this to go over 3.5 receptions, and then we have another data point, BetOnline at minus 129, so still pretty far off from Fliff's minus 115. These two books have an average odds of minus 136, basically telling us they believe it has a better chance to hit than what Fliff does based on how they are pricing it. Some people might see this and not bet it because there is only 2 data points for this when comparing back to Fliff. However, myself, in my own opinion, is that FanDuel is very sharp in player prop markets across college football, NFL, NBA, etc. So I really do weigh this line very heavily when taking into consideration what Fliff is at and then where the rest of the market is, even though we only have 2 sports books. If FanDuel is at minus 144 and this is at minus 115, I think I'm going to jump on it early. And now my typical strategy on Fliff would be parlay at least 2 or 3 plus EV plays together to compound my edge. However, when I'm looking at the optimizer right now, there's not that much value, but we see another green or yellowish play here for the Kings and Bucks over 57.5 first quarter points at minus 125 on Fliff, average odds of minus 145 across the market. But if we do look a little bit closer at these lines, sure, FanDuel is very heavily favoring this, but another very sharp sportsbook that I actually respect even more in these money lines, totals, and spreads markets, Pinnacle is a very sharp sportsbook in those markets, so I actually might wait on this as Pinnacle is almost matching Fliff with their odds at minus 125 and minus 127. I might see where Pinnacle goes from here. If Pinnacle starts creeping up to minus 130, minus 140, minus 150, then that's a good indication that Fliff is really off from the rest of the market, and we would be able to go ahead and get this in and parlay it like we normally would. However, since that is not the case, and I do weigh Pinnacle very heavily, I'm going to go ahead and take out this first quarter over total points, wait on it, and just go ahead and get Mitchell Evans in over 3.5 receptions as a straight bet on Fliff. So it's okay to straight bet something on Fliff if you don't have anything to parlay it, or if you're just a straight bet kind of guy, that's also fine. They are plus EV no matter what. Like I said, I just like to try and compound my edge. Securing this at minus 115 when the market average is minus 136 is pretty good value. You can see here a $100 straight bet at minus 115 odds is going to profit us $86. But if we took this at the market average of minus 136, a $100 straight bet would only profit us $73, a difference of almost $13 in profit just for finding where we can get the best possible odds, and we have the confidence that 2 other sportsbooks agree this has a better chance to hit than Fliff. There are some new sweepstakes/exchange apps popping up like Novig and ProfitX, and I attack these the same as Fliff, where I am still looking at what is plus EV, but then deep diving the odds a little bit across the market, seeing what FanDuel, Pinnacle, DraftKings, some of the sharper sportsbooks are at, and then I will make my decisions from there. Here's actually a really good example of something I would play on ProfitX. Cooper Flag over 4.5 assists. You can see we're getting -106 or -103 as you see on the app on the phone screen there. But you look across the rest of the sportsbook market, they're all pretty in line. Everybody is a -130 or higher with average odds of -145. Well off from where PrizePicks is, so I'm going to snipe this. Ta-da! That easy. And now let's look at something I might not play on these apps like Novig and PrizePicks, like Nikola Vucevic, under 10.5 rebounds. Sure, it shows it's about 1% EV, but if we look a little closer to the odds, we see that you can actually get a better line on Pinnacle right now, and this FanDuel line is pretty close to -108, so I might wait on this and see where these two sharper sportsbooks move their odds, and if they end up coming up towards the rest of the market, then this is going to be a fine play at -108 on Novig. So that's really my process for these sportsbook-like apps like Fliff, PrizePicks, and Novig. Now we're going to jump into these DFS apps like PrizePicks, Underdog, Dabble, and Better that are set payout platforms that don't change your payouts for taking overs or unders, and show you guys my strategy there. First things first, I'm going to pull up the AI slip generator at Daily Grind Fantasy, which is going to tell me where all the value is at this current time. If you guys don't know about this tool, it uses line comparing technology and correlation to find the best possible value by comparing across the markets back to these different DFS apps. Then it will spit out full slips for you to simply tail across these different DFS apps and social sportsbooks. So what I'll do is I'll just simply refresh it, and then I will scroll down and see all of the slips it's spitting out, and it will tell me, oh man, there's actually quite a bit of value on PrizePicks right now. Let's go ahead and click this, see what the value is, or I could even head over to the PrizePicks Optimizer and start building out a slip. But why would I do that when the AI slip generator will literally let me bet this with one click of a button? It will load it up on PrizePicks. All I simply do is put in how much I want to play it for and hit enter. It's that easy. This tool is insane on its own, as it tells you what the best value is, builds out those full slips for you, tells you where to play it and what slip type to play it in, and you know that you're getting the best long-term value. Not only that, it's been crushing. It actually works. It's up over 2,200 units since it launched on 8/18 of 2023, which means if you were a $20 unit bettor and you placed a bet on every single slip that came out of the AI slip generator, you'd be up over $40,000. As I was mentioning, I just use it to find me where the best value is if I actually want to build slips out on my own. But I do suggest, if you have the AI slip generator, to go ahead and build out the slips it's recommending to you, as they are extremely profitable long term. However, we see that there is some value on Better, and we want to build out our own slip off the optimizers. We'll head over to Better and then start building a slip. And we're starting off this slip really strong, taking Matthew Stafford over 31.5 pass attempts with almost a 59% chance to hit the over of 31.5 based on what the sportsbooks believe is going to happen with their lines and odds here. As you can see, almost every single sportsbook has bumped this up to 32.5. Besides DraftKings, DraftKings still has it at 31.5, but is very heavily favoring the over at -150 odds. So you get this on Better Picks at -122 odds when the next closest book is -150, and all of the other books are at 32.5, one full pass attempt off. How could you look at that and not determine that it's clear value and you should smash the over on Better Picks? And up next in this slip, we have Islam Makhachev over 3.5 takedowns, and this is something I wouldn't touch just yet. We have a couple different lines, all from DFS apps. No sportsbooks with lines for this just yet, but you can see Better Picks has it 3.5, Parlay Play has it at 3.5, and then Underdog has it set to 4. So there actually might be a little bit of value on Underdog taking the under 4 when you have two other DFS apps agreeing this should be actually 3.5. And with that being said, in my personal thoughts, I would just skip this for now, but we'd move down to Tyrese Maxey, which is under 30.5 points and rebounds. In the NBA, you can see that almost every single book, once again, has moved this down to 29.5. The market seems to be moving one full lower point rebound for Tyrese Maxey. And that's extremely similar to what's going on here with Jalen Hurts under 26.5 pass attempts. As you can see, the market is kind of settling towards this being one lower pass attempts at 25.5. And here you have it, my finished 5-pick entry that I would be entering off Better based off the value that is being provided from Daily Grind Fantasy, and taking into consideration kind of which books I weigh over other books and the data that's being provided to me. You do have to remember, Daily Grind Fantasy is pulling all of this information into one place at one time and doing the math based on what these projections are on the sports books. So if one book is way off from the rest of the market included in those sports books, that might be weighing a line higher or lower. So you have to kind of look into these sportsbooks lines and odds just a little bit yourself to get even better of an understanding of where the market is going. I say that, but typically taking the top plays off the optimizer is going to be the best possible value. There's just certain scenarios that you might have to look into or gain knowledge on yourself. That way you can make a better educated pick based off of these lines and odds. And that's really my strategy for building out these slips on DFS apps like PrizePicks, Underdog, Dabble, and Better Picks. I just make sure I get the best possible value in with the slip types that make the most sense on these different apps to give myself the best chance to profit long term. And real quick, just to name a few of the best slip types across these different DFS apps to set yourself up for the best long-term profitability is going to be on Dabble, 3-pick uninsureds, same thing with Underdog as well as their 6-pick flex, and then on PrizePicks, you're going to want to stick to 5 and 6 man flexes only, as they give you the best chance to profit long term. And my last and final tip, as always, is to manage your bankroll. Never place more than 1% of your bankroll on any slip or bet, right? If you have a $500 bankroll, don't be throwing $50 per slip. You're gonna be out of the running for profitability before you can even sniff it. Make sure you stick to that 1%, which would be $5 for a $500 bankroll, and then so on. That's gonna be it for this video. Let me know down in the comments if you like this type of video where I share more of my insights instead of just general rule of thumbs. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe on the way out, as we post sports betting content like this every single week.